For the past few weeks, Ghanaians and the world at large have been on the edge of their seats following the court proceedings between Mami Akosua Serwaa and Odo Broni, aka Team Legal Wife and Team Side Check. Now we are going to be diving into the whole story and we are going to be unpacking all the lessons. So stay with me to the end of today's video. If this is the first time that you are coming across this channel, my name is Rara and this is the first Rara Show. This is where we dive into the intricacies of life, of love, and of family. Do well to hit the subscribe button on the right hand corner of your screen to join this wonderful family. So guys, let's get into the video. We cannot talk about Mami Akosua Serwaa or Odo Broni without mentioning Daddy Lumba. I grew up listening to Daddy Lumba when I was young, although I'm not a fan of him, because my aunt was a fan of him and she would literally play his songs all the time. He was an iconic figure, especially in the 80s and in the early 90s, going to the 2000s. Now, Daddy Lumba was born in humble beginnings. He grew up in Insuta. He was literally born in Insuta in the Ashanti region of Ghana. His parents were teachers, so he had an average lifestyle. He was the second of three siblings, Ernestina Fosu and Faustina Fosu. Now, I want you to note their names because we are going to be referring to them later on in the story. Daddy Lumba had his primary education in Insuta. He also had some of his education in Kumasi and later on continued his secondary schooling in Drabin Senior High School, where his music career actually began. It was in Drabin Senior High School that he formed the band Lumba Brothers, and he also composed the song Lumba Lumba for the freedom fighters in South Africa, and that is what gave him the stage name Daddy Lumba. We cannot talk about Daddy Lumba's high school days without mentioning his high school sweetheart, Theresa Abebrese. This lady was the one that actually changed Daddy Lumba's life. Theresa was a beautiful and highly respected student. Everyone admired her, including Daddy Lumba. It wasn't long that Theresa took notice of Daddy Lumba because she used to bring the marked books to his class and she would notice that Daddy Lumba was a brilliant student. So she took a keen interest in the life of Daddy Lumba. It wasn't long that Daddy Lumba and Theresa began dating. Theresa was a girl of connection and she lived an affluent lifestyle on the campus way back in the 90s. And so it wasn't long that she introduced Daddy Lumba to high standard of living. Daddy Lumba's lifestyle soon changed because he was dating Theresa. It came to a point that there was scarcity in the whole country, but Daddy Lumba always had his chop box full because of Theresa. She would cook for him, she would give him provisions, she would give him money. In fact, he was never in need because of the love that Theresa showed to him. However, Theresa was just a little girl. So where was she getting all the money to fund Daddy Lumba's lifestyle? Well, although Theresa actually came from a wealthy home, there was a man that was interested in the hand of Theresa. Yes, Theresa had a suitor who used to fund her lifestyle. When they completed Drabin Senior High School, Theresa was able to get an opportunity for Daddy Lumba to travel to Germany. She did not only get the opportunity, but she was able to come up with half of the sum of money that was necessary for Daddy Lumba to travel and advised Daddy Lumba to get the other half of the money and seize that opportunity. And that is exactly what Daddy Lumba did. So Daddy Lumba traveled to Germany and all seemed rosy, not until he heard that his high school sweetheart, Theresa, had been given in marriage to an older, rich businessman. This left Daddy Lumba completely heartbroken. In fact, he wrote so many songs as a result of that heartbreak to taunt the man that Theresa was married to. And it wasn't long that the man got to know that somebody in Germany was talking and making songs about his marriage. But that is not the focus for today. Let us go to Daddy Lumba's music. When Daddy Lumba went to Germany, he met Nana Echampong and they formed another Lumba Brothers. But they split later on as a result of some misunderstanding, and he went solo since. He has been an iconic figure in the high life music industry for over so many decades. He has recorded over 200 songs and 33 albums to his credit. While I don't listen to secular music, I must say that this is a high feat for anybody in the music industry. So as Daddy Lumba was in Germany and his music career had just begun Baden, he met Akosua Serwaa and their love story began. It seemed as if Daddy Lumba had forgotten about his heartbreak with Theresa, and it seemed that Daddy Lumba had moved on, but did he really move on? It is generally known that women find it difficult to move on from their first love, but I believe that men also find it difficult to move on from their first love depending on the circumstances of their separation. Now, let me explain. When a man meets his first love and he's really open to it, his heart is in it, and he is really in love with her, but then another man comes in and snatches that lady right in front of his eyes, that man finds it difficult to move on. And most of these guys end up becoming womanizers, players, and what have you, because to them, when they finally make that money, they try to get as many women as they can. They are going to go after all sorts of women, the tall, the tough, the fair, the dark. But it seemed like Daddy Lumba had a taste of a particular kind of women. It seemed like Daddy Lumba liked women of a particular complexion, and it is generally known that the first woman whom Daddy Lumba fell in love with, Theresa, was a very fair colored woman. She was light in complexion. So it is of no surprise that Daddy Lumba actually likes fair colored women. Alright, let's continue the story. Daddy Lumba soon married Akosua Serwaa customarily in Ghana, and then they later had their ordinance marriage in Germany. And then Daddy Lumba and Akosua Serwaa became German citizens. They had their home in Germany and they lived happily ever after until Daddy Lumba decided to go back to Ghana, and that was where all the trouble began. As every marriage has its ups and downs, the marriage between Daddy Lumba and Akosua Serwaa was far from perfect. We cannot tell what actually transpired in their marriage, but later on in the early 2000s, Daddy Lumba left Akosua Serwaa in Germany and came back to Ghana, where he met Odo Broni and their love story began. Daddy Lumba met Odo Broni in 2006. At that time, she was still a high school student at Ashley College, and they soon had their customary marriage in 2010. It was a very secret marriage. In fact, there were no media coverage. Odo Broni went on to continue her education at King's Health College. However, Daddy Lumba asked her to stop. And when love calls, you obey. When love calls, you listen. So Odo Broni stopped schooling and she focused on her relationship with Daddy Lumba, taking care of him, nursing him, because at that time he had also been involved in an accident and he had sustained a spinal injury. Daddy Lumba was living with Odo Broni in Ghana. He was lavishing her all around. They were going to events together. He was public with her. He even referred to Odo Broni as his wife, while Akosua Serwaa was still in Germany, living all alone and taking care of their 3 children. Akosua Serwaa remained silent until the demise of Daddy Lumba, when she decided to take action against the disservice done to her. In the Akan tradition, when a man dies, the widow has to go through a rite of passage that is called the widowhood rite in order to cleanse her and to separate her from her spouse. While the family head and some distant relatives of Daddy Lumba acknowledged Odo Broni as the one to go through this rite of passage, other close family members like his sisters were in favor of Akosua Serwaa. So the Obusua Penin, who is the family head, and other distant relatives who were planning the funeral of Daddy Lumba decided that if they would even consider Akosua Serwaa to perform the widowhood rite, it would be because she had children with Daddy Lumba, because according to them, Akosua Serwaa deserted Daddy Lumba for 17 years while Odo Broni was there for him, nursing him, taking care of him, meeting all his necessary needs, and birthing 6 children for Daddy Lumba. But that is where Akosua decided that enough was enough. All the disservice, all the disrespect, all the silence was over. She was no longer going to take and allow anybody to toss her about. Now that Daddy Lumba was no more, she was going to take her rightful position as the legal wife of Daddy Lumba. So she took the head of the family and Odo Broni to court, because as the legal wife, she should be the only one that should be recognized as the wife of Daddy Lumba and the only one to go through that widowhood passage. In the heat of all these moments, there came the news that the marriage between Akosua Serwaa and Daddy Lumba was annulled in 2010. As we were still recovering from that news, we were notified of a letter that Akosua Serwaa actually sent to Daddy Lumba seeking for legal annulment of their marriage in 2018, meaning that prior to 2018, there had been no legal annulment of their legal marriage. Akosua Serwaa in the letter actually accused Daddy Lumba of so many things. She accused him of committing bigamy, she accused him of cheating, she accused him of domestic violence, but she only wanted a peaceful annulment of their marriage and the alimony allotted to her. She gave Daddy Lumba 10 days to apply for a divorce so that they would start their proceedings in 2018. But did Daddy Lumba apply for that divorce? Well, I do not understand why Akosua Serwaa herself did not apply for the divorce, and we have now gotten to this stage of their family drama. But that is what life brings when you decide to be silent for far too long. The court proceedings began, and yesterday was the final verdict. According to the High Court, Akosua Serwaa is not the legal wife of Daddy Lumba, and so Daddy Lumba could marry as many women as he could according to the customary law. According to Akosua Serwaa's lawyers, they presented her marriage certificate, which should have been enough evidence to prove that she is and was the only legal wife of Daddy Lumba. But the High Court did not recognize her marriage certificate, as they said that it was only an extract of their family book. And so as it stands, the High Court recognized Odo Broni and Akosua Serwaa as the surviving spouses of Daddy Lumba. And so both of them should be given the chance to perform the widowhood rites. Meanwhile, Ernestina Fosu, who came in as a witness for Akosua Serwaa, had so many evidences against her, and even her own witness interrogation went against her. Because according to Ernestina Fosu, she used to visit Daddy Lumba anytime that he welcomed a baby with Odo Broni. And according to the evidences leveled against her, she accepted the relationship between Daddy Lumba and Odo Broni to the extent that she used to refer to Odo Broni as sweet sister-in-law. With all of these facts, Odo Broni had an upper hand over Akosua Serwaa. But one question runs through the minds of many Ghanaians and diasporans all over the world. Why did Akosua Serwaa remain silent for all these years? Why did she see her husband gallivanting, showing off Odo Broni as his wife, and did not take the legal action against him while he was still alive? Why didn't she speak up? Why didn't she take legal action against the domestic violence accusations and the emotional manipulation from cheating? Because like I always say on this channel, cheating is emotional abuse. Well, I believe there must have been so many reasons, but let us not forget that whenever divorce happens, the one who takes the blame is mostly the woman. You were not able to hold your husband. You allowed a little girl to come and snatch your husband from your hands. Why didn't you keep your home? What will people say is what has led so many women to stay in toxic marriages. Secondly, Daddy Lumba was an icon. He was loved, he was respected, he was honored everywhere he went. And so I also believe that she was trying to protect the image of Daddy Lumba, because with regards to these serious accusations, if that news had come out then while he was alive, it would have been a showdown in the media. I also believe that she may have held on to hope, thinking that maybe with time things would change. But as I always say on this channel, people do not change until they come to self-awareness. You cannot change a man. Time will not change him if he has not come to that self-awareness. And let us not forget that Daddy Lumba also went through heartbreak, like I mentioned earlier on with Theresa. We have come to the end of this video. Do give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and also join this family by clicking on the subscribe button on the right hand corner of your screen. I am trying to get to 500 subscribers, so if you have watched to the end of this video, subscription is free of charge. I'll see you all in my next video. Do not forget to drop your comment in the comment section and tell me what actually stood out from the whole story. Bye.